Peace in the morning. Funky Friday, baby, all the way live. This is Darius Stanton, DJ 5 Star, and our special guest, Dr. Paul W. Dyer. And also our good brothers, Trouble Funk. We also celebrate National Heart Month. That's right, National Heart Day. Today's show is about blacks. You see, I got my kente cloth on, but not just for the kente, also for the red. Because Miss Tillman said, make sure you wear some red today on the show to celebrate National Heart Day. And we know we can't make it without the heart. It starts with the heart. And it's Black History Month, and Black History Month starts at home. So it's Funky Friday. It's time for us to funk it up. But know that we're going to funk it up with the heart and our history in mind. So look, get ready, share the show. Let's get ready to rock. Let's get ready to roll. It's Funky Friday, baby. Hey, DJ 5 Star, take it away, King. 5 Star. Yeah, that's right. Yo, we rock the T-Bone. All right. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the Peace in the Morning Show. This is Darius Stanton with DJ 5 Star. And our special guest, Fiddle Diddle, the brother, is strong in the middle. Dr. Paul W. Dyer. Peace and love, King.
How you doing, brothers and sisters? How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm all pumped up and ready to go. I got the blessings of my great and righteous ancestors right on our shoulders. You know, I'm feeling good. I'm so grateful to have such dynamic brothers in the building again with you and my very own, like, this is living Black history right here, right? So we're going to get right into it. Share the show. Make sure you put it out there. We don't own the rights to this music, so we appreciate Trouble Funk cranking with us this morning. And we are so excited to be focused on Black History Month and heart health, a winning combination. And we want you to know that Black history for us, it starts at home. We are so fortunate to come from descendants of folks who have contributed significantly to our society, to the very cities we were raised in, to the very land that we live on. And God knows, you know, we'll bring on Al-Kabilon Shule later on in the month to talk about Black history from an ancient African perspective, from an Al-Kabilon perspective. Look it up. Al-Kabilon is the original name for the continent prior to it being named Africa by a Dutchman, right? But nevertheless, so we're going to talk about our grandfathers and how powerful, you know, we have become as men because the grandparents that we had. You know, you'll hear stories about Kendrick and his grandmother, my grandmother, You'll hear Dr. Paul talk about his grandfathers and grandparents, because we want you to understand that Black history starts 365. It doesn't end. And guess what? You're going to win when you start with your own Black history. You don't have to look outside of your home and your household. There's Black history taking place every moment. So we're going to have that today. And also today is National Heart Day. That's right, National Heart Day. And we understand that it's in the heart, right? Everything starts with the breath, oxygen, the heart. And just so you know, there are about 850,000 people who died from the virus. The number may have ticked up a bit. But every year, annually, cardiovascular disease, 800,000 people in America. It is the leading cause of death in the world. It is the leading cause of death in America. 800,000 people. And we have Dr. Paul W. Dyer, who has 4 doctorate degrees, to be our subject matter expert as it applies to, that's right, 4. How many, Kendrick? There we go. There you go. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. That's why I said we got Black history right here in the midst, ladies and gentlemen. So, we got to start. We got Dr. Dyer for a moment. Dr. Dyer, welcome forward to the Peace of the Morning show.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for having me. We don't talk enough about our health, and we never talk about our heart. And we always get confused between what's our heart health. That's emotional health. That's mental health. We keep thinking mental health is in our minds. We have more autonomic systems and nerve systems that fires to the brain than the brain fires to the heart. Most people don't know that. Most people just think that the heart is a muscle that comes in and receives and transposes our oxygenated blood. It does so much more than that. It actually controls your emotional state just by the blood flow that goes to the brain. Remember that your heart reaches out to over 15 feet in vibrational code as it touches people. So if you have no idea what you are feeling and understanding your feeling, then that's why the mind confuses your illusional state to make you sick. Now, your heart is important. It's blood, my blood, it has oxygen, it has carbon, it has all the things that's made from the sun and the stars. And our genetic codes do touch our ancestral being.
Super dope. Dr. Paul, so you said the heart has carbon in it?
Yes, it has touches of carbon in it, and that's what helps the oxygenated be a lot stronger when it comes in. So as it goes through those channels, right? Everybody knows the channels, the 4 channels, all that stuff. But when it comes in, when that carbon comes into our bodies, that's when the exchange happens to pure oxygen. So there's a little touch of carbon in there. Too much carbon, not enough breathing exercise. That's why we deep breathe, so we can clean out that carbon channel. And we don't make us sick, because too much carbon in our body will cause poison.
Wow. All right. So we recognize that we're made up of many things, as the brother Tony Browder talks about us being cosmic beings, right? Yep. And us being made up of the same things as stardust. And so, when we look at what's going on with our heart health, we have to recognize these are the diseases, the things that are killing us. And, we're about solutions on the Peace in the Morning show. So we're going to focus on what is ailing us and what's causing it, but we're going to shift, in between a quick crank session from DJ 5-Star, because it is Funky Friday. And the way we keep our heart up, health and healthy and strong, is by jamming and grooving on the Peace in the Morning show, right? You see the glow I got on me because I'm beaming this morning. But the heart disease, types of heart diseases: coronary artery disease, heart arrhythmia, thank you very much, heart failure, heart valve disease, pericardial disease, heart muscle disease, and congenital heart disease. And, these things, when you think about it, the fact that heart attack and stroke kill more people than anything else in America.
And we never called it a pandemic.
Wow.
We never called it a pandemic, and it kills the most. It will kill more next year, the year after, more than what this virus did, and we've never called it a pandemic. Why? Because more black people die of heart attacks than anybody. So they'll never call it a pandemic.
That, you know, it's so devastating when you think of that, right? I mean, you have people who are now like betting their whole lunch pail on something that is a problem, but it does not reach the scale. Understand the scale. If annually you have 800,000 people die of cardiovascular disease, which, by the way, please correct me, Dr. Paul, if I'm incorrect, is preventable.
Right. And they keep saying that, well, it's genetics. Okay, let's go with that. If it is genetics, you have an opportunity to develop a stronger genetic code if you go, what you say, internal health, and develop that stronger. And that has a lot to do with external weaknesses that we have. The alcohol causes genetic disposition to break down. Mental health causes genetic disposition to break down. All these external issues that we can have somewhat of an understanding and healthy by, it breaks down our genetic and it develops the sickness within, and that kills us over time.
So, Dr. Paul, let's talk about alcohol for a moment. Which, by the way, if you notice, during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, when it started in March, April of 2020, and then, you know, the state started to go into what was termed a lockdown, and they asked people to basically quarantine. The only state that I'm aware of in the United States of America that stopped selling alcohol was Pennsylvania. Why would you sell alcohol during a time when you know alcohol breaks up and obliterates the immune system? It makes the immune system significantly weaker.
Right.
And, you know, and they didn't stop it. But talk to us about alcohol and the impacts. Am I correct about alcohol diminishing your immune system?
Well, it does. I mean, we know it does. I mean, it does. I would have to beat you over the head with a stick for you not to know. It's a disclaimer that has been known for years, right? Everyone has known what it does. Now, here's the problem with alcohol. Is alcohol excessively bad if it's in excess? Yes. But when you're in a deep emotional state of whatever, fear, anxiety, emotional distress, cortisol builds up. So all these exasperates the heart and it starts pumping harder. So it builds up the oxygen. Remember, when you are in a depressed, alcohol, sad state, cortisol buildup, your body, your heart says, well, we need more oxygen in the blood. So let me pump harder. Wow. So the heart's trying to regulate your body from all the sickness you're putting in. Right? So the heart's trying, I need to work harder because I need to put more oxygen into the blood so it can get to the organs, so it can be healthier, so we can be healthier. Well, the signals that kicks back to the heart says that I'm not getting the oxygen. Wait a minute. If you had a manager at the heart factory going, I know we're putting out this much oxygen, how come the liver, the organs, the tissue, our kidneys not getting it? What's going on? It must be transportation. So we have a transportation breakdown. Who's running transportation? It's the mind and the stuff you're putting in it. So you killed your own transportation.
Kendrick, did you hear the brother? 2 weeks ago, we had Dr. Dyer on, and we talked about the way that the body works. And, you know, what I've realized as a result of speaking with Dr. Dyer is that we're going to have to create an animated series focused on what Dr. Dyer just talked about. because literally he just explained how the heart and the brain are working together, and those different systems, you know, how they respond and treat each other. But basically what he said was the body, the heart can't do what it needs to do. It's over pumping, but we're not able to focus on it because the brain is in another state that is, and then you have some other chemicals that are contributing to it, let alone the stress that's coming off of racism, let alone the stress and pressure that's coming off of poverty. You know, these things are creating other chemicals that are making the brain just take, I mean, basically you sleep at the wheel.
Right.
Wow. So focusing on understanding what else is attributed to our heart health, or the I should say the damaging components of heart health.
You know, we keep saying that we have to say things so many times over and over, but I've been talking about trauma for several years now. And the reason why I talk about trauma, because it does affect our genetic structure. And when we talk about African American history, we talk about what Brother Darius talks about. We are living on our ancestors' shoulders. We are also tracking that genetic DNA through our bodies, and that code of fighting for more, fighting for release, fighting for freedom. And we're encaging that genetic code because we're not fighting for ourselves at the moment of time when we are sickening ourselves with the things we do to our heart.
Wow. So putting ourselves in a position of where we need our heart the most.
Mm-hmm.
Where we need our heart the most. I want us to we're going to take a brief break with one of our key contributors, and that is the Life magazine. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about our heart and what we can do to strengthen our hearts and really put ourselves in a much better position, as well as we're going to talk about our grandparents before we jump out of here, because we want to make sure we give honor to our ancient African Al-Kabilan brothers and sisters, our ancestors, the people who have us basically being who we are. I mean, you just cannot think about, like, if you didn't have your grandparents, where would you be in life?
Wow.
I mean,
my grandfather was a shining star for me. My great grandma died at 110. She told us all the stories of the travels of her coming from where they were in the South to Chicago. And she lived, just think, she was alive before my first child was going to be born. So every week she told us the stories of what had happened to her on that journey, what that happened as she was feeding Chicago on the South Side, what had happened through the riots and the beatings and the torture. And yet she said to remain strong and love. She always repeated that. My grandfather, who was just a giant of a man, would take me on his lap and speak to me and hold my hand and talk to me. He would take me to the park, and he was the one who taught me about nature and balance. Nature and balance. He says, what we are right now, you will soon not be later. So what do you do now to stand tall within nature to be a part of all? Think about what he was telling me that when I was like 6 years old, 7 years old. And I remember when he passed. And luckily, I belonged to one of the organization that he also wore an apron with. And I also wear his apron. I have his ring. So I am and I have his middle name. My grandfather meant everything to me.
Darius, I hear the commercial, but I don't see it.
Yeah, it wants to do its own thing. It wants to do its own thing. It's coming on. That's the power of the heartbeat. So, Dr. Paul, tell us again what your grandmother said to you that was so profound? That was such a profound statement.
No, my grandfather told me when, my grandmother used to tell us stories every week about the things that happened to her and how that whatever happens to us, we must always love strong and love. Don't ever let someone take away your love, no matter how much brutal they give to you, and make sure you love. I think that's why a lot of African Americans, we hug in the way we dad. We bring each other close, the way we share each other's heart vibration, when we shake each other's hands. I mean, no matter what the stranger is, we bring each other close. My grandfather taught me in nature that we were part.
So real quick, let me go back. You said your grandmother said no matter what you're going through,
No matter what,
no matter what it is,
right?
Love strong.
Love strong. And this is a woman who saw her brother being beaten, strapped to a pole. This is a woman who saw her mother being raped by cavalrymen. She was born in 1890. She was born in 1890. The things she's seen and done that was done to her, done around her, done against her, she still loves strong.
And what was your grandmother's name?
Ollie McCoy.
Ollie McCoy?
Yeah, Ollie McCoy.
Ollie?
Yep.
McCoy?
Yeah, McCoy.
Wow. Okay, and then your grandfather, he taught you.
Be a part of the world by understanding that we are part of all things with nature. And that, because he was a nature person. William Vaden was his name. Just a beautiful black man. He was tall, very tall. So as a young boy, he would take me get my haircuts. He would have other black men. We would all talk. And I would listen. And I think that's the one thing young black children or young black people don't do is listen to love or love to listen. And that's the things we are. So my grandfather says, knowing that nature is strong, knowing that we're part of nature and that we're all part of it, and that's where we belong, is to understand that we are also a fabric of nature and love. That's what my grandfather was. And one thing I like to say is that I'm a part of the same organization he was a part of and what his father was a part of. I actually have his ring, I have his apron. And so the tradition is strong about what we do to work for society and the betterment of black men and people.
Wow. So the tradition and what your grandfather, he taught you how to stay tied to nature.
Yeah, he did.
So look at those two profound messages, right? You on one hand, you have your grandmother to tell you to love strong no matter what, in the midst of whatever you're going through. And then your grandfather, on the other hand, told you to tie in and be rooted to nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the balance of that, first of all, it's so simple.
It is simple. And yet it's hard to do for people, isn't it?
And the importance of repeating it is so significant. I want to weave back in because we only have Dr. Dyer for a few more minutes. And then Kendrick and I are going to get deep into our grandparents. But Doc, if you could tell us, some of the things that people can do to increase their heart health, to improve their heart health. And then, Doc, also, we held a training for the first time. We'll be doing it almost every Wednesday throughout the month of February, where we're training men to go into our communities and into our schools.
Right.
Because of the violence that we're seeing in our schools and our communities. And if you're interested in doing so, I'll put our website up for the Peace in the Morning show so that you can reach out to us and some phone numbers so you can contact us if you're interested in doing anywhere in the state of Maryland or the DMV. We'll help you to develop your program. We'll come in and train the men. We're also, extremely excited to be partnering with the brothers out of Baltimore City. We Are Us, Captain Andrew Muhammad, Dr. Bunley, and those folks. But Doc, at the training the other day, you talked to the men and the sisters that were there as well about the heart and the vibration
That reaches out.
that reaches out. Your grandmother said, no matter what you're going through, love strong. She knew something.
Right.
It was something instanding in her.
Right.
She may not have even known the physics of the heart.
Not at all, right?
But she knew that the heart was powerful.
Right.
And then Doc, so we will have to come back on this because you know we talk about the heart, and because the heart is the symbol that represents love.
Right.
But the other part of that is love is really tied. You could also put the brain up there instead of the heart. We're not going to get into it today,
No.
but give us the vibration of the power of the vibration and what we can do for good heart health.
So when you train in what you call the living sciences, and the living sciences has everything from above to below, right? Everything from within to without. The heart has what you call a radiance frequency that has been measured in science. It has been measured as a radiance frequency of 18 feet, circular. So it doesn't matter what your eyes see, it doesn't matter what your ears hear. Your heart has what you call neural feelers that reaches out and connects and transmits back to you what it is. It's almost like we hear a dolphin sends out auto waves, right? You have transmitters, neurotransmitters that touches from 18 feet out in a radius motion, comes back to you, back to the brain, and then gives you the signal of what it is. For you to not understand that is a detriment. For you to ignore that is painful. And then for you to don't understand that if you are traumatized, your sickness is reaching out for hugs and love. That's why a lot of our kids act up.
Wow. So they're acting up because they're seeking something.
Yep, they're hungry. What you call their heart hungry. They're vibrational hungry. Yeah, they come from dilapidated this and structured this, and I'm sick and tired of talking about what's not in the home. But when they leave the home and they are here for a reason of, can I get something? And they're not getting it. They're being told that you need to read well. Well, my heart is hurting, and you're not connecting to me at all. You're just telling me when I'm not. That's a negative. So of course I'm going to act up. I'm not acting up because I'm mentally acting up. I'm acting up because my body is suffering. It's trying to choke itself because it's dying. The heart will always try to live. The brain will always try to live. Your body, internal body, is trying to live. It's the external that's killing it.
So, Dr. Dyer, on that note, and I want to make sure we mark that at 2750 because we want to take that clip and create a clip to send out today, you know, as a post note about today's show on the Black history and the heart health. Dr. Dyer, what can we do to improve our heart health? So what are the solutions?
With some of the kinetic sciences and some of the natural sciences, everybody talks about deep breathing, exercise, and all that stuff. But here's what people are missing. People need to learn how to breathe. And I'm going to do a simple teaching moment. When you breathe in through your nose, your belly is supposed to expand. When you breathe into your nose, your belly is supposed to expand. When you blow out, put the top of your tongue onto the top of the roof of your mouth behind your teeth. That which you connects to circulatory system. And then when you breathe into your nose, your belly expands. And when you blow out through your mouth, the belly contracts. If you're breathing from your chest, you're breathing shallow. So the simple technique is breathing into the nose, blowing out, moving the tongue to the tip of your roof of your mouth, right behind your teeth. That completes the circulatory system into what you call your energetic field that's below your abdominal. Deep breathing that way, which is what you call natural breathing. That infuses the organs in connecting with the heart oxygen connection.
So you're going to take us through that exercise, Doc, so we can see what that looks like?
Yeah, so I wish everybody could see my tongue, but you can't. But when you breathe in, your belly expands.
So Doc, where should we be putting our tongue on the exhale?
On the exhale, it goes to the roof of your mouth, right behind the top of your teeth.
Like so.
Yeah, but it's the flat part. Don't press it because you're tensing the connection. Your tongue is this way. It just sits on the top of your teeth, just like that. Not pressed, like that. There you go. Yep. Yep.
Uh-huh.
And then push that up to the roof of your mouth, and then that's how you breathe out.
So on the breathe out,
And your belly
contracts.
Remember, a lot of people breathe in opposite. That's why their rhythm's off. Breathing in, the belly expands. Breathing out, the belly contracts. And it's not the chest. And if you want to practice, put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And if you breathe in and the one hand moves, that's not your belly. It's not correct. So you have to concentrate and make sure the bottom hand moves out and in. The easiest way is to try to make sure you're a fat belly, like you're Santa Claus or something, and then think about sucking in, and that's the muscle. That's why abdominal muscles work. It helps you for contraction and extraction. If you don't use your abdominals to breathe, you're not really extracting the carbon. So you keep the carbon within your body, and that also makes you sick.
Wow. Well, I'm over here breathing, and I'm working on my belly. I have to call my PX90 instructor, Marcus Johnson, and tell him that he's not doing it right.
Right.
Or he is doing it right, and I'm just not catching on. Well, Dr. Dyer, it is truly an honor to have you. Let's give him a round of applause, Kendrick, if we could. Yeah, because we want to.
Real quick before I leave, there's
Sure.
a picture behind me, and I want to make this statement. What our kids see, they will be. So if they don't see us, they can never strive to be us. We may not have seen our grandparents. We may not have seen our beautiful elders who did all the fighting. But you can resemble them by making a statement by saying, I can show the next. Each one teach one.
Succession. Yeah, I heard what you said as we get ready to shift in this segment on Black history and heart health. I heard what you said about you and you belonging to the same organization your grandfather did, and your grandfather belonged to the same organization as his father, which is your grandpa, and that you all passed the tradition down. You all have you have their rings, their aprons, and how important that is to create the tradition. In some cases, we call it rites of passage.
Right.
But to be able to train us, and we'll have another show that focuses on breaking cycles, right? Generational curses, so to speak. But we also have the opportunity to be able to live in a time where we can acknowledge who our grandparents were. And so we mentioned your grandmother's name, but would you give just your grandfather's name as you get ready to part? And we'll take a brief break after that.
William Vaden, V-A-D-E-N, William Vaden. Yeah.
William Vaden. Great. And just as you pull out his contributions.
Well, his contribution was he taught us. He taught me and my brother. He taught his brothers, his line brothers he was with. He shared in the community. He was part of the community. My family grew up as an activist. My father was a Black Panther. We were part about developing community strong so we can survive together as a we. And I think that's what my contributions on my grandfather was. They were so big on community. They were not about self. They were about service.
And Dr. Dyer, how can people find you? You're on iHeartRadio. Tell us how people can reach out so we can have them follow you and support the work that you're doing.
You can go to my YouTube page, and it's Dr. Paul Dyer, Grandmaster. And that if you put it in, it'll come up. iHeartRadio, Dr. Paul Dyer, Bridges Live, and you'll find me easily. You know, I don't have a web page or anything like that, but there's just so much work to do. Web pages are so singular. I'm all over the place.
Hey, well, Doc, you know, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Peace in the Morning Show with Darius, Stanton, and DJ 5 Star.